My favorite shirt in the whole entire world. Welcome to Alesha Behind the Scenes Below the Line, Stewarding Your Finances edition. I have a super extra duper special guest today, my sister Monica. She is a realtor licensed in both Mississippi and Tennessee. She can tell you what broker she's under, but she works a lot with first time home buyers. And that's why I brought her on because I am a first time home buyer. Last week, we learned 6 keys to buying your first home, and she's going to help us dive a bit deeper. Another note, she hates this shirt. So in the interview, she won't see this shirt. She won't even know I'm wearing this shirt until she watches this whole episode. She hates it. I have done my job as a little sister of pissing her off. That's what I'm here for. Just here to serve the people. So now let's get into it. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, turn on your notification bell. And I thank you so much for doing that.
Hi, Alesha.
Well,
Yes,
but
Alesha.
listen, well, as you know, because you've been watching every single week, that this is the Alesha Behind the Scenes Below the Line Stewarding Your Finances edition. And well, as we record this today, I put out an episode about the 6 keys before you purchase your home. And obviously, I'm a first time house buyer, and it's a home right now, but it's also an investment property. So I know that you work primarily with first time home buyers, and that's why I have you on. And but first, every single episode I ask people, although nobody ever responds in the comments, how their weeks were or how your day has been. So how has your week been so far, or how has your day been?
My week has been great. And my day has been great as well. Why are you looking like that?
Because why? Okay, you're not gonna be fake on here.
I've had an amazing week. Oh, Alesha,
I'm listening. Go ahead.
I've had I've had an amazing week, but for real, this week hasn't been too bad. I started my morning off with getting my cardio in, something that allows me to set the tone for the day. So now I'm just trying to make sure that I'm getting my task done so that I can stay on track towards the end of the fourth quarter goals.
Very good. All right. So now, what even got you into real estate? Because you used to be in the medical field. Obviously, I know this because I'm your sister, but what got you into real estate?
So, truth be told, I was actually interested in becoming a realtor in 2007, but I allowed the naysayers to keep me from pursuing the career because everyone would say, "Oh my gosh, it's just so hard." And then, as things started to change in the healthcare industry with the different layoffs or what have you, I decided to go and get my real estate license as a risk mitigation strategy. I was also interested in watching HGTV, although now that I am a realtor, I don't even watch it anymore. So that's what prompted me. I also love new construction homes, and I love helping people achieve their home ownership goals.
And why did you choose first time home buyers to, I guess, as your focus on the people who you want to help the most?
So because I work with first time home buyers primarily, I also work with seasoned buyers, investors, people who are looking to rent as well as sellers. What had me to navigate towards first time buyers is I remember when I was a first time buyer, how nervous I was. I did not feel comfortable sharing things with my realtor. So I wanted to give them an environment where they felt comfortable.
Sharing things like what?
Like you, because whenever you're getting into real estate and you don't know, you think your realtor is all in your business. So didn't feel comfortable telling my realtor things that I thought was personal to me. Now my clients, I've laid a platform where they feel comfortable, and sometimes they just tell me things that I really don't need to know, but I want them to feel
Like what though? I need specifics.
like they tell me things like about their finances, which is something that more so of the lender would need to know. They tell me things about their credit, which is something that I don't need to know. I pretty much just need to know, have you been pre-approved for the loan? what the pre-approval amount is and what's your timeline for us getting you into a home. So those are some of the things that they feel comfortable enough sharing with me. So I've kind of like opened that platform. And then also I like helping people because a lot of times they get into those Facebook groups and they're like, oh my gosh, they say that you can't do this or you can't do that. I had a buyer tell me recently, who I'm working with her now, that, well, somebody said it's hard buying a home. I said, well, have they purchased a home before? And she said, no. Well, how can you take advice from someone who has not been where you're trying to go? So I like to help them navigate through the process so that they feel comfortable and they're happy once they actually achieve their goal of home ownership.
Why do you think it's important or homeownership is important?
So, purchasing real estate or buying real estate, whether or not that's your investment property or your primary residence, is the fastest way to build wealth. I remember when I first bought my property, I did not know when I sold it a couple of years ago, the money that I would make after the commissions had been paid, after my mortgage had been paid off, was more than what I actually paid for the home. A lot of times people don't realize, sometimes people may have hard times. Well, if you actually own a property, you could borrow money from your equity. You can do a cash out refinance. You can do a home equity line of credit is borrowing from it. Or if you say, hey, I don't like this property anymore, you can sell that property, move on to the next property, and then either put some of that money that you've made towards your next home or keep it and do whatever. So I think it's very important to take that first step because it's your path towards building wealth.
Yeah. So, as you know, because I, I'm your sister, um, we are currently in a strike, or coming out of a strike, and a lot of people are just in really compromised financial positions.
Mhm.
But my goal with this channel and with other endeavors that I have is that if ever the industry is in this position again, it won't really affect me because it's not my mainstream of income, I guess. So that was one of the reasons I got a home. I had always wanted property, but rent had increased so much that I decided last year was the right time. Didn't expect to not have a job the few months later, but here we go. But so in my 6 keys that I told people about, my first one was to set a realistic budget. Do people so how it was for me, the loan officer, she told me what my budget was, or like the
Mhm.
max that I could do, and then knew that I wanted to be below whatever that max was. But do you speak to people before they set that budget or after they know what they're approved for, or like when should a person bring a realtor into the picture?
So I don't think that it's too early or too late because a lot of people that once I meet them, they're not ready to buy a home. During
Mhm.
the buyer's consultation, I'll ask them what their budget. A lot of people don't know what that means. So what I'll ask is, what are you comfortable paying each month? And so based on what they're comfortable paying each month, then the lender can actually tell them, okay, here's the price point where we can get you in order to get approved. But just to step back a little bit, sometimes people don't realize before you even start applying for a mortgage or before you decide to buy, you need to know where you stand with your credit. So at least 6 to 12 months before you start your journey of home ownership, take a look at your credit. You can access it free at annualcreditreport.com. That way, if you start early, if there's any things that should not be on your credit or things that are old or what have you, you have time to clear that up before you work with the realtor and the lender. Now, if you don't do that step, that's fine because I help them get to where they need to be with their credit, as well as my lender partners. They will do what they need to do as well to advise.
Mhm. And another thing I know that we have that's a bit unique to what you smiling for? So dumb. You're really dumb. Anyway, another thing that's unique to our industry and probably union workers in general, but I say our industry because like the car industry, some of those people are on strike right now, but still their jobs are not like gig work,
Mhm.
whereas film industry workers were like gig workers. And so when I was going for the loan, as I told people in the episode that came out today, that she initially said something about like I was approved for $60,000. And I was like,
Mhm,
girl, well, I ain't gonna get no house because what I'm gonna
mhm,
get with that? But
mhm,
it was because the loan officer, had not worked with anyone who was in the union
mhm.
and didn't understand like how that whole process would work for us. So, do you work with lenders who are able to work with people who are in union work and might have like five different W-2s, and technically the payroll company is our employer. And so I work primarily for two different payroll companies. There are more, but
Mhm.
do you have lenders who are able to work with people who don't have traditional work?
Yeah, so I have lenders who work with people who are W-2 as well as 1099. So a lot of times with the 1099, if that income fluctuates, then this lender can also do bank statement loans where they're looking at your income to justify, what your earnings could be. So
Mhm.
yeah, I have lenders for different buyers because just like the shoe doesn't fit everyone, there's no such thing as one lender fits all. So yeah, I do have resources, and during the buyer's consultation, I find out from the clients, like, what's your credit score? What's your employment situation? Are you W-2 or 1099? And that's the discovery part that helps us determine who would be the right fit for you.
Mhm. Okay, so then another point that I made is how important it is to trust your agent, because mine.
Okay, carry on.
Um, but why is it so important, besides what I've already told
Yeah.
people? Why is it so important to have someone you trust and not be afraid to walk away if there comes a point where you lose that trust in them?
Purchasing a home is probably one of the biggest investments that you'll ever experience in your life, at least initially. So you definitely want to make sure that you're comfortable with that person so that you can enjoy the milestone. I've heard clients and my colleagues where, after the transaction, they may or may not stay in contact with people. My clients think that I'm their friend after, and I want them to because
Yeah.
I look at them as my friend. So we stay in contact. So I think it's very important to build that rapport in the beginning so that they feel comfortable. And if I'm doing something that I don't that they don't agree with, just let me know. Because I had to one thing I can give you an example is I had clients who like older homes. So I
Mhm.
would say, oh my gosh, I said, this home has so much character. Well, in her mind, she thought that I was saying she liked old raggedy homes, but I had to tell her, no, the type of home that you like a ranch home with character. Whereas the newer model homes, they have a certain characteristic about it. So I have to make sure too when I'm talking to different clients that I'm careful with the words that I use.
Yeah. Okay. So another hurdle I had to get over was my agent not really showing me homes that I was asking for,
Mhm,
but also showing me homes that were a bit significantly over my budget. Is
mhm.
that something that is normal for agents to do, to show you things that are over your budget, or how does all of that work? How do you make those decisions?
So I think each agent runs their business the way they see fit. But for me personally, during that buyer's consultation, I'm asking you, what are you looking for? What type of home? So if you tell me that you want a single family home with a bedroom, you need an open space, well, then you send me a home that is not open or is missing some of those things. What I do is say, hey, I know we talked about this. Have your priorities changed? And also, showing a person a house more than what they want or showing them a house more than what their budget is, it doesn't make the most use of my time or yours, because I want to make sure that I'm respectful of that. And then the other thing is, I don't, if a person tells me that they want their budget to be $1,500 a month, well, I'm not showing you a house that's $2,500 a month, because I can't sleep at night knowing that I've put you in a house or pressured you to be in a home where you may foreclose on it in a couple of months. So I'm very conscious about that. It's not about, the commission is how I pay my bills, but it's more about the people, and, the money comes after that. So.
Yeah. Okay. And how do your clients normally find you?
So I am very most of my clientele comes from social media. So I'm in several social media groups. One in particular would be one of the local Murfreesboro groups. So a lot of them find me in those groups because whenever someone has a question about real estate, I come with the resources. Also from home buyer seminars and then past client referrals, which we call our sphere of influence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So now another thing that I touched on was for people to learn as much about home ownership. So after
Mhm,
you've already purchased the home as they can, because within like the first week and a half or two, I would have these little mishaps and just stress out tremendously. Like I used my when the washer hose had come out the back, but I thought it was like a leak coming
mhm,
from somewhere,
mhm,
and just like really trying to understand that, but also the different fees that come with it, like pest control if you want to have an HOA, or what are some other expenses that I have that, oh, like my solid waste.
mhm,
So I received a bill for it and I paid it, but I didn't realize that they also bill my loan company, the
mhm,
mortgage loan people.
mhm,
So I was looking at the transactions that had come out of that account, or like out of that loan or whatever it's
mhm.
called.
The closing
And
costs.
yeah, that.
Mhm.
And so I've paid the solid waste people twice. So then I got a tax bill, and that's what made me even call the loan people. I was like, "So, am I supposed to pay this bill, or is that something you pay?" And they were like, "No, they send it to both of us, and they just send it to them digitally."
Mhm,
But I just learned that like yesterday. So,
mhm.
what are some things that people should know before they own a home, like the types of expenses, so they don't be house poor?
So I really do think people should not skip the process of a home buyer education. So a lot of people it's required to take the home buyer education course if you're getting down payment assistance, but if it's not, then some programs don't. So
Mhm.
in those home buyer seminars, especially if you go through one of the accredited organizations, they go over
Like
budgets.
what?
There's one here in Tennessee. You can make it. So you can make it is one of the organizations here where
Mhm.
you pay $99 and you take the homebuyer seminar and they kind of walk you through things. Also, I host those free homebuyer seminar classes for them just to kind of educate my clients. So I think that if you some of the things that I think you should not bypass taking those courses because it's going to prevent some of those issues and errors that you may make once you become a homeowner.
Yeah, so it'll tell you like the different types of expenses you might have and the fees.
Yeah, so within your budget, the budget goes over like some of your expenses. Another thing too, and you may not be aware of this, after your first year, you may receive a check back in the mail from your account, from your bank, because when you paid your statements or when you did your closing costs, they kind of overestimated it. So if you have that escrow left over, you'll get an escrow check back for that overage. It's usually after a year. Well, I have clients calling saying, "Hey, is this a real check?" Well, yes, so you can choose to keep the money or you could choose to apply it. So those are some of the things. And then two, once you get your tax statement, because your most states, I know in Tennessee and in Mississippi, because I'm licensed in both states,
Mhm.
we your taxes are paid via escrow, meaning it's a part of your mortgage. So that information that those payments are already applied there. So once you get that statement, just know that it's just an FYI. And the only reason your escrow account would increase is if your homeowner's insurance increased or your taxes increased.
Okay. Yeah, and my taxes did increase. Not a lot, but
Mhm,
still it did, which was good and annoying at the same time. Another thing I have, and I kind of mentioned being house poor,
mhm,
is that people should have more than just the down payment in their savings
mhm,
account.
mhm.
Tell us why that is important.
I definitely believe that because people don't realize. So when they come to me, I tell them, okay, I want to know how much money you have. Because once you write the contract and even before you buy the home, you need money for your earnest. You
Mhm.
need money for the appraisal. You need money for the termite
Wait, I
inspection.
have a question. When you say the appraisal, is that like the appraisal gap?
No, so the appraisal is the fee
Oh,
that the
oh,
lender,
okay.
the appraisal fee. So you need money for the appraisal fee for the lender to bring the appraisal out to make sure that the value of the home lines up or is greater than what the contract price is. And sometimes, depending on what type of loan, like VA loans, they don't pay that fee up front. It just depends. So you need all of those funds. And then, two, after you close on the property, how are you going to move? So you need money to move. You need money to get your utilities turned on. And then, two, you don't want to go into a house and then initially, you're struggling because you didn't save. So I do encourage people to save as much money as you can. A lot of times with my first time buyers, if they're able to get that down payment assistance and they also have cash reserves, they're coming out on top because they're not having to pull from their current reserves, but they can save that later for once they move into the home. So yeah.
So do you work with people who just want to make a property investment solely?
Yeah. So currently, so I did a listing this past March where I was the listing agent, meaning that the seller hired me to sell the property. But I also have a colleague who is an investor. And so what he does is just invest in property. So whenever I have a listing, I reach out to my pool of investors to say, hey, I have this property. Is this something that you're interested in? If so, then they will either come with me unrepresented, which is what happened in this case, or they will hire their own realtor. But yeah, I work with investors to help people who are just looking to invest in property, and what they're looking for is a deal. So a lot of them are looking for properties that are off market or have been sitting on the market for some time.
This may be irrelevant, but how do you decide what deal to give them?
It just depends on what their goals are. Before, so when we were in the seller's market, they were buying properties at 80% of ARV, so after repair value. So they're looking at how much money they have to put in the home. And then once they put that money, what are the comps saying that this property will sell for? Well, now, a few months ago,
Okay, wait. I hear that word comps. What is it? Composition?
no, so a comp is a comparable property. So it's like an
Okay.
apples to apples property, or if it's apples to oranges, you have to take away from the orange so that it kind of balances out to an apple.
Mhm.
So we're looking at like properties.
Okay.
So lately they've been purchasing properties at 70% of after repair value, and then subtracting whatever the cost of repairs are. So they're buying the homes a lot less than what they were buying them a few months
Mm.
ago. So it just depends on that investor's individual goals. And we talk through them. Sometimes they run the numbers, so they have different apps. I also have an investor calculator or a profit calculator on my website, monicagreer.realtor, where you can actually kind of plug in those numbers to see if it works for you.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, so that's good to know that you work with sellers and buyers because what are you about to
No,
laugh for?
no, I'm not about to laugh. I work
Oh,
with sellers, buyers, and investors in both Mississippi and Tennessee. Now, I have to say, for my Tennessee license, I am with Zach Taylor Real Estate, and then for Mississippi, I'm with Dorsey Evans Realty. So,
okay. Yeah, because I know that a few people in the industry they have properties and they they're very crafty with them. So I'm just like
mhm,
I need to be like them. So it's good to know that at least you can give
mhm.
advice on all the ends.
I can give advice, and I can also give you a agent referral. Don't forget that important part. Yeah. So.
We're gonna vet them really well too. Okay, and then I have just one more question, unless you want to add something else about getting a home inspection. I know when I was
Mhm,
buying mine, people were putting offers sight unseen, but a
mhm,
lot of that was like the corporations like BlackRock and whatever those
mhm.
other big corporations
Yeah.
were. But this is the community that I live in. These are all just regular people buying homes.
Mhm,
But the builders were telling me that none of them were getting home inspections. And I found quite a few things that they had missed.
mhm.
So why is it so important? And do you have any examples of people who weren't diligent about doing that?
So, and that goes to your realtor. I sell primarily new construction. I do help with existing homes too, but I've only had one client who did not get a home inspection. The property was 10 months old and they just decided not. We were in a very competitive market during that time where they were doing bidding wars. Even
Mm.
with new construction, you find things. If you have that corrected beforehand, you don't have to worry about those issues, later, because they will cover some things during the first 10 months, but those items that you did not know about or you were not aware of because you did not get a home inspection, that may be missed. People don't realize how many things, when the builders hire, they're hiring subcontractors to do the work. So you want to make sure that you're getting that. Now, when we were in a seller's market, and I had clients where we were trying to be competitive, I may write it in my contract where we are doing a pass fail inspection, meaning the inspection pass or it fails, but the buyer still reserves the right to terminate. And then I would put in here that as long as repairs as indicated in the inspection report do not exceed X amount of dollars, and that would be whatever amount they would be comfortable paying, then the buyer would proceed. But if it exceeded that amount, or if there was anything major like structural or what have you, then the buyer still had the right to walk away. I think I would be doing my client, especially a first time buyer, a disservice if I allowed them to purchase their first home and encourage them not to get a home inspection. So I always encourage them to get a home inspection. You want to know the condition of the property once you move in. So, or
Whether
before
it's new
moving
or old.
in. Exactly. And
Um,
then go
oh
ahead.
no, go ahead.
One other thing too, even with that home inspection, I do encourage people to get a home warranty, because a lot of that stuff will cover some of those routine repairs, and you would just pay a $50 to $100 deductible depending on your plan, and that would pick up some of those expenses.
Is it so mine came with a 1-year warranty. Is that customary or is that only because it's new construction?
Well, the builders have to warrant the home for at least a year, especially like with different type of loans, which I won't get into because I'm not a lender. But they do have to provide at least a 1-year warranty. Some builders also provide like a 10-year structural warranty, but each builder is different.
But is that for new construction
That's
or
for new construction. So
okay,
for an existing home, you have to request it. So you have to negotiate a home
okay,
warranty.
okay. Okay, I have one more. Should people be shut up. Should people be deterred by the percents? What am I trying to say?
Are you
The
talking about the
the interest
broker,
rate.
the interest rates? Okay.
Yeah.
So they have different programs. So think about this. When the interest rates were low, buyers were having to pay $30,000 to $50,000 over asking price. So you have to decide, do you have 50,000? Do you want it to go back where the interest rates are so low, where now you're competing with more buyers, those that have been hiding this time, and
Mhm.
now you're having to pay 25, 30,000 over 50,000 over asking price? Or if you want to buy now, if you have some reserves, you can buy down your rate. Some lenders also have programs where you may start off with a lower interest rate, just say 3%,
Mhm.
and then with the understand well, with the hope that the rates will go down again,
Mhm.
and then you can refinance out of that. So they have different options. There's different options for you. I would not allow the interest rates to discourage you from buying, but you want to make sure that you're smart about it. So whatever purchase price or whatever property you buy, you're comfortable with that mortgage. So before you may have been able to purchase a $300,000 house. Now you may only be able to afford a 200,000. But go in it with the goal of, this may not be my forever home. This is my for now home. So I'm going in to build that equity. Then once I sell it, I can use that money towards purchasing my next home or your dream home.
Okay, okay, one more question. So, what would prevent people from falling out of closing? Like, what kinds of things would hinder you when you're trying to close?
So I think so what could cause someone to loan not to close, right?
Right.
So a couple of things. If you lose your job, meaning that you're not, so now you're no longer employed. You went out and decided you wanted to max out your credit cards. You wanted to go ahead and buy furniture. You wanted to buy a new car, co-sign for a new car. Now your debt to income ratio is higher than what the lender had projected. Or say the lender may have had some oversight. Once your file went to underwrite, and now they're saying you need to do X, Y, and Z, which could be anything, and you
Mhm.
can't meet those terms, that could cause it. or say for instance that the home appraised less. So you bought a home, your contract is 250, it appraised for 225,000. The seller is saying, hey, I'm not lowering my price, and they decide to not to lower it, you can walk away from it. So that could cause you not to close. Or if something came up on the inspection report and you were not satisfied with it, that can cause you not to close, because at that point you would use your inspection contingency period to walk away.
Mhm. Okay. Well, that's all I have. Do you want to add anything else?
No, well, I will add something. So, guys, thank you all so much. You can follow me on social media, so Instagram or TikTok at Greer Falls Homes. If you are looking to purchase in the Middle Tennessee area, I would love the opportunity to work with you. Again, I hang my Tennessee license with Zach Taylor Real Estate out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. If you're interested in the Metro Jackson, Mississippi area, I am licensed with Dorsey Evans Realty. I would love the opportunity to work with you, whether you are a first time buyer, seasoned buyer, investor, or seller. I would love to reach out. I would love to connect with you. So thank you.
Well, thank you for, gosh, you're showing your age. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Now put up your thumb, Monica. Ting.